Ugh, so you guys thought that I wouldn't post a video for a whole nother month just because that was my old release schedule. And Daily December might have gotten me burnt out from making any videos in January. But normally you're right. But because I'm a stubborn bastard and I like doing YouTube stuff and I need more editing practice, I'm going to keep making videos more often than once a month, hopefully. So since I'm back in my normal space since winter break, I needed a quick, easy video to put out as my first video back. So what's a better way to do that than to do a PC desk tour video where I explain bullshit nobody cares about. So with that, here we go. So for my setup, we're going to go from left to right just because I decided to do it that way. So first up down here, we've got my trusty APC UPS. You can see it's the 1500 model, and this thing weighs a ton. I hate moving this thing around, but I got this because the day I moved into my apartment, there's a power outage, and that scared me shitless because I hadn't even built my main desktop yet, and so it just like scared me to death that there was going to be some damage to it. So I got this. It should be enough for my monitors and my desktop as is, and I even have this little Ethernet to USB thing where in case the power goes out while I'm not around and my computer's on, this can just automatically safely shut down my computer, which is nice because I occasionally do some rendering stuff while I am away. And then of course we've got the ever trustworthy George H.W. Bush right here. Brought him from home. He's my favorite little guy, so what do you have to say, HW?
I was raised in the west of Texas. It's pretty close to California. In more ways than Washington, D.C. is close to California.
Now, if you notice, my monitor has a 4-port USB hub, which I have my mouse and my K95 RGB plugged into, which brings me to my monitors. Now, these monitors I bought from a university surplus store, both of them, and the model number is EA243WM. So these are 1200p, so they're 1920 by 1200p, which I really like because it gives you a little bit extra room for the taskbar on the bottom, and then also lets you have sort of your 1080p video here, which I think is incredibly nice. The only thing that really sucks about these monitors is that they're from 2012, and you know what, they get the job done fine now and I like them, but this one's got a little bit of a line in it right here. No bueno. So, and it's just weird because some days it looks better than others. So, like some days it'll just be almost completely gone, and other days it'll be like really bad or even worse than this. So, I want to upgrade to 4K monitors, but there's nothing really like on the market that really I'm kind of excited about right now. So, I'll maybe go into a different video about that. But for now, I'm just gonna have to stick with both of these guys. I try to keep my desk space pretty clean in the grand scheme of things because I film videos here and I don't think anybody wants to see a bunch of shit on here. And at least just for me personally, like it kind of makes me anxious just kind of having all this empty space full, and in case I need to move my keyboard or anything, like I don't want any of that stuff getting in the way. Speaking of my keyboard, this is the Corsair K95 RGB, which they don't even sell new anymore. I had to get this off eBay used. And I love it. I use it every day, of course. And it has 18 macro keys, whereas the current K95 only has 6, which really pisses me off. The only bad thing about this keyboard is that these 2 keys don't seem to work for some reason. But, you know, I still have the remaining 16, so I can't really complain. So next up is my mouse, which is this little cheap $15 Logitech mouse. So I had previously used this on my laptop, like a similar model. So I just got the newer version. So forward, back, you know, scroll, left, right, click. I don't really need any macro keys on my mouse, at least currently. because I don't know, my fingers are kind of too fat for me to press any of the buttons not accidentally. So next up is my trusty Nintendo Switch, my favorite console of all time. And I really like how sort of the dock works with the monitor, just kind of how short it is. And I think the reason why a lot of PC gamers really like the Switch, outside of just being not just trying to be PC like Xbox and PlayStation are, but I think kind of even the form factor of the dock people really like, because the PS4 and Xbox One are designed for entertainment centers. And you can't really fit like something like a PS4 on a desk like this. But with the Switch, you know, the dock's pretty small, and even with the Switch, it's not very tall, so you can just tab it just like under a monitor like this. And so I think that kind of plays a big part in why so many PC gamers love the Switch as well. So these are my editing headphones, these Sony's professional headphones. This was like $70 on Amazon. And I think my school actually uses this exact model of headphones. So here's the cable management situation for my computer, and it's obviously terrible, but kind of the way I think about it is that like I have such a wide spanning of all my cables across between not just my desk but also my dresser next to it, that like it's kind of, unless I got cable extensions for everything, I don't think there's really going to be a way for me to easily sort of manage all this stuff. And there's just like, I have a lot of cabling just in general though. Like I have stuff going in and out of the capture card, I have 3 graphics cards. Like it's just a lot going on here. So obviously I have my Radeon 7 right here, 2 display ports. My 1050 Ti has an HDMI. And then we have kind of even further down here, we have, I don't know if we can see it, I have my AverMedia Live Gamer 4K. I have an input plugged into it, but I don't have an output. I'm thinking about getting an HDMI switcher kind of as part of having greater cable management. And this is my third monitor right here, and this is a little LG Flatron. It's like a 1080p cheapo display. I actually got this from my parents because my dad uses a Mac, and so when he was upgrading to like one of the new Mac Minis, he's like, hey, I want to get a nicer display. You want to have this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So what I mainly use this for is using it for File Explorer. And I know that sounds like stupid, like, oh, why do you have this whole display dedicated to File Explorer? But the thing is that, like, video editing involves a lot of, like, opening up files and importing files. And, like, I want to have all the real estate I can on my main displays. I don't want File Explorer, you know, blocking any of that. So, like, as I need to, I can just have this display open with File Explorer within the folder I need to. And then I have Adobe Premiere, like, over here. I just move it from this display to this display. And if you notice, this is sitting on top of my case. And obviously I've made a video about it, so, you know, go check those out. But the main change that I've made is I put a Noctua cooler in here. This is the NHD15. And I measured the case like 4 times to make sure that it made room. And it like very barely does. Like you see this fan right here, right? So like this fan is like sat lower than this one just because you want RAM clearance. So this fan is like right up against the glass of my case. And if you see down here, you can see my Radeon 7 is like right up against like this Noctua cooler. Like you can see it's right up against the heat sinks and the fans. So it's an incredibly tight fit. Now this is kind of the hard drive situation. So I have an SSD in my main computer, and then I have this 4TB hard drive. I'm actually backing something up to the cloud right now, and I'm gonna get another 4TB drive soon to make a RAID 1 mirror of this drive. So I don't have a labeling system for anything yet, so I just kind of put this sticky note on here. Now that's kind of the end of my main desk setup, but I guess I'll go over stuff on the dresser too while we're at it. So PS3 over there, GameCube there, PS2 Slim over there, and I have this little JVC Super VHS SVHS player, which is nice because I do pull video from old VHS tapes, so having the best quality that you can pull out of it is really nice. And then I have my Sony PVM-14M2U here. Got it for $10. Just an incredible steal for such an amazing retro display. Unfortunately, the sound, like, it's only mono. So what I do is that I have this little like $20 Amazon wireless speaker I have, and so it has this little audio jack in the back. And so what I do is that I take the red and white cables from the PS2 up there, I turn them into a single headphone jack, plug it into here, and then that's how the sound comes out. Now, all this bullshit here is to help me support content creation using my main PC. Actually, I'm not a big fan of nicknaming my stuff. Like, when I built my PC originally, I thought, I'll just call it my PC or whatever. Like, even the desktop name, like, in Windows was just the random one that it generated, but kind of as time has gone on, I think naming it is going to give it, like, a little bit of, like, an edge and, like, sort of make it a little bit more thematic and fun. So say hello to my video editing machine, which I've now named Kamen Rider Blade. And yeah, I know it's a stupid name, but considering Linus Tech Tips names his servers after towns in Canada, I think my naming scheme makes about as much sense as anybody else's. Now, there is a little bit of sense to naming something after a Kamen Rider, because Kamen Riders in their show get upgrade forms, much like a PC. So when I do inevitably swap out the CPU in this motherboard, I'm going to rename it from Kamen Rider Blade to Kamen Rider Blade Jack form. So anyways, that's it. I just wanted to make this because hopefully I inspire somebody. Maybe give them an idea they never really considered before, although considering the very mundane setup compared to a lot of other YouTubers, especially people who do this for a living, I'm not sure how many ideas I'm inspiring, but with that, have a good day.